Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for February 12th. So it's definitely been an interesting week with the trial going on. It's going to continue, as I understand it, through the weekend, or certainly on Saturday, I think. Very curious. I mean, honestly, the picture that's getting painted is that, Trump is just unhinged and violent, and he will do anything and everything to hang on to power in the sort of deranged, I guess, mindset that he appears to be in. So we're going to let that continue to play out. For those of you who maybe subscribe to the Insights channel but don't get notifications or don't watch it regularly, I just want you to know the video that was put out yesterday on the Soulprint Insights channel was about manifesting your intentions. So that might be something that a few of you are interested in. I invite you to check out yesterday's video on Soulprint Insights. Thank you so much for all of my new subscribers, the comments, the likes, the thumbs up, the shares. It's brilliant. Thank you so very, very much. Jerry would like you to know that he completely appreciates the fact that he received so many birthday wishes. He's feeling quite full of himself these days, I understand. But it was so sweet of you to sort of join in our wacky pet celebrations for birthdays, and I thank you for that. It was just lovely to know that there are so many of you out there who just took that moment to send a little message for Jerry. So thank you very much for that. So I think to end this week, I think what I'm going to do is I want to do a reading. Again, months and months and months ago, right after this channel was launched, I did a video talking about how Trump would end up experiencing basically death by 1,000 cuts because everything that he did in office, and again, understand, I did this shortly after he was in office. Anything he did would just haunt him. Any behaviors before, any behaviors while in office would just haunt him, and there would be lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. And so I thought I would just want to maybe take a look at that. Now, even though my pendulum says that he will actually be convicted, and let's hope and pray that that's exactly what happens. Certainly, Republicans who are incapable of actually being objective and looking at the evidence, you got to kind of feel sorry for them, because you know what? They're seeing the entire world through these distorted, cult-like glasses. And that's unfortunate. I mean, just from a human perspective, that somebody could go that far down a rabbit hole and find themselves in this dark, dark place where they really can't pull themselves out of, I guess. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a look at Trump and the Trump family post the impeachment trial. I want to take a look at what is coming down the pike for Trump and the Trump family in terms of, legal actions. I mean, there's so many outstanding things already, but I think that there's a lot that hasn't been announced yet or hasn't been pushed forward yet, simply because the timing isn't right. So that's what we're going to look at today. Come on down. I have a question. Just look at these things. And I really, really cleared and shuffled the cards before this, so they should be ready to tell us with some clarity the story. So here we go. Trump's what's next? Trump's what's next? Trump's what's next? Okay, well, so the first thing is, the Ace of Cups, right? So that's talking about, actually, it's talking about a couple things. It's talking about how irrational he is. It's talking about how the family just complies with whatever it is he wants. But it's also talking about the fact that their emotions are so divorced from reality in many, many ways. And in some ways, it's very much in stark reality. So one of the prevailing energies that you kind of step into when you step into the Trump energy and the Trump family energy is truly a sense of disorientation, almost like as if they can no longer get their bearings because they no longer have a platform. They no longer have, the ability to sort of so control the narrative. And so they're feeling a little bit like unbalanced almost. They also, however, are really, really frightened. In fact, it qualifies as terrified because there is some understanding, especially with the kids, that, or his adult children, although really, I call them kids because they're so childlike, you know, they don't really qualify in my world as conducting themselves like an adult would. But they are really aware, at least to some degree, that this is not going well for daddy. Okay, daddy's in a lot of trouble. And they worry. It's a selfish worry, right? Like, yeah, he could end up in jail, or he could whatever. But it's it's more pathetic than that. It's, well, we don't want to lose our status. We don't want to lose what we have. We don't want, the Trump name to mean nothing. Literally, they do not understand that it's not going to be that far in the future where the Trump name is going to be right up there with, Benedict Arnold and Hitler. They are concerned about their loss of status, income, assets, if things go really sour with their dad. So you've got that kind of energy where the boat is on fire and the boat is sinking and there are no life rafts to be found. And so they have a choice. Either they can stay on the boat and sink with the boat, or they can jump off the boat, but probably end up drowning anyways because they're in the middle of the ocean and all they're surrounded with is a burning boat. So it's like, what I'm trying to say is they don't have good options, right? I mean, it doesn't matter what direction they look in. It's not like they can find a easy or simple way to turn the corner on this, which they desperately, desperately want to do, but it's not going to happen. They're not going to be able to outrun the law. They're not going to be able to outrun the arrogance with which they conducted themselves, not only during the presidency, but before. That grip that they had on, I guess, I don't know, maybe certain people in society who thought it was advantageous to stand by them. That's getting loosened. They're losing supporters everywhere. And for a lot of companies or big donors who were kind of maybe even like holding back a little bit, with all of the information that has come out on the impeachment trial with Trump's behavior, he's going to lose even more support. And as that happens, so too does the family lose more support. And this is the thing, right? Even if he is not convicted, that doesn't mean that Donald Trump gets to walk off into the sunset and carry on with what he believes to be a gold-gilded life, right? I mean, he's just in his little fantasy world. So So there's going to be a lot coming at them. There's going to be investigations. There's going to be lawsuits. There's going to be federal crimes. There's going to be state crimes. The deep dig that is going to go on around that family, it's literally, it's not going to be pretty. We're talking money laundering. There's something to do with human trafficking. There is problems they're going to have with regards to finances and cooking the books. There is simply not going to be an end to all of the things that are going to start stacking up like corkboard that they're going to have to try to defend themselves against. And this is the thing. Donald Trump is like really not... It's a really weird energy with him, right? Because on the one hand, it's like he is so far gone, he doesn't actually understand how much trouble he's in. On the other part of that, though, is that he's cognizant enough to know that you know what is hitting the fan, and he doesn't have a clear path forward. I mean, come on, people. This man had to scrape the bottom of the legal barrel to get lawyers for his impeachment. How many lawyers are going to think it's really advantageous to them to start defending Trump in all of these cases? Giuliani won't be doing it, I don't believe. I think he's going to try to vanish into the woodwork because, of course, he has his own investigations going on. More is going to come out about things like what went on in the Justice Department. That's not going to reflect well, not only on Trump, but on Barr. Things are going to come out about the Treasury Department. Things are going to come out about, the State Department. And so slowly but surely, unless you really are a diehard fan, more and more is going to come out in sort of like a drip, drip, drip fashion, so that Trump himself and the kids really can't catch their breath. And this isn't going to last for 12 months or 18 months. I'm talking years, absolutely years, possibly decades, that this situation they are going to continue to be facing the ramifications of the behavior, what they tried to steal, what they tried to take, how they interfered, backroom deals with foreign countries. All of it is going to come out. Now, I shouldn't say all of it, because I think some of it is going to be buried so deep that it will never come out. And I'm speaking of things like, for example, the Jeffrey Epstein situation. I don't know that you're ever going to get clarity on that. We might get more clarity on Trump's role and how he was involved or, partook of the offerings. But the reality is, with the Jeffrey Epstein situation, is that there are simply too many really, really powerful people. And those people have the ability to simply terrify people into not pursuing something. For those of you who haven't seen Eyes Wide Shut with Nicole Kidman, Tom Cruise, you should check it out, because it really does open a window into exactly how dark and how depraved that sort of, I guess, part of life, part of the world, whatever that is. And so I don't think a lot more is going to come out on Epstein. I really hope I'm wrong. I would love everything to come out. But I definitely think that for Trump and the family, they look at all of these swords, for God's sakes. They don't have a way forward that, frankly, isn't incredibly, incredibly painful. You can anticipate Behavior that boils down to standing on the courtroom steps and screaming, this is a witch hunt, this, they just won't let go, the Dems are in power and they're just going to keep on attacking, that kind of nonsense. You're going to hear that. But you're also going to start to get a real flurry of information into how far along investigations are, what has been discovered, what is ready to go in terms of to litigation or to charges, and what is still in the works. Some of it is being very, very quiet, but slowly but surely, there's going to be indicators of exactly how much stuff is going on behind the scenes. They just gave me the greatest visual. They gave me sort of like an open office area, right? So there's just kind of rows of desks, and every single desk has stacks of files and paper on it that have to be 4 or 5 feet tall on either side of the desk. So you have mountains of things that are being investigated and paperwork that's being gone through. And so when this snowball starts rolling, I mean, it already has to some degree and Trump has no luck when it comes to the legal system, for God's sakes. He really doesn't. I don't know why he thinks he gets such great results, because honestly, I don't think he does get such great results. It seems to me that he predominantly ends up dragging it out and then paying it off, right? That's not success with the court system, I don't think. But you're just going to get this sense of exactly how much trouble he is in, and by extension, the family is in. And the sad thing is that the sacrifices that the family made for their own personal gain, that's not really going to go very well. They're going to see their legacy, because apparently some of them still think they have one. You're going to see that coming apart. You're going to see their assets being liquidated. Trump properties going up for sale. And honestly, I mean, for most of those properties, they own a very small percentage of it. And mostly they have it's branding, right? They've lent their name to stuff. But they're going to see a lot of that dry up. COVID has hit everybody, but for whatever reasons, the Trump family, maybe it's a little bit of karma, but the Trump family, in terms of business, have been suffering and will continue to suffer a significant downturns because of COVID, simply because of travel restrictions, because of gathering restrictions. So yeah, that's they're just going to be able to sort of stand by and in horror watch that family wealth, such as it may be, their inheritances, they're going to watch it just crumble, just slide through their fingers like sand. This is kind of the thing to remember. A lot of stuff in life is like a pendulum, right? It swings really far to one side, and then it swings really far to the other side, and then eventually it just gently swings in the center, okay? So what you had was a period of time of intense corruption, thievery on a grand scale. Well, that pendulum is now shifting and swinging to, frankly, a rather significant clamp down, a real interest in purging. And this is not being promoted by Biden. This is within the departments of the government, because, let's face it. So, Merrick Garland goes into the Department of Justice, and in the first week, 2-3 weeks, he starts getting all of these stories about, what was covered up, what was canceled, where Barr stepped in and threw a wrench in the works, right? And that's department by department by department. And so what you're going to get is people, secretaries of the Treasury, the Department of Justice, etc. Those people really kind of not only trying to fix the problems, but really trying to do what they can do to ensure that it's not repeated, it's not duplicated. Make changes that will actually hold in place. So, but the Trumps, are going to be caught up in that extreme swing to, justice needs to prevail. Criminality needs to be called on and stopped and punished. That's the swing they're going to get into somewhere down the line eventually. That pendulum's going to sort of swing center a little bit more. And, things will just settle down almost so that it's not quite so antagonistic. But that's in the future. As far as the Trumps go, they're in trouble. And, this is the thing. You all know that, what we focus on, what we fight, comes to us, we can't let go of. What you draw your attention and energy to is exactly what you manifest. So right now, the Trump family, and Trump Sr. in particular, they are so focused on their money. They are so focused on the loss of their good name, their reputation, their legacy, whatever it is. That's what they're focused on, and they are terrified. They are all scared. They are all scrambling to various degrees. And what they have put their attention on, which is the fear, the loss, that is exactly what they keep drawing closer and closer to them. So good work, Trump. Way to go. Trump spent his whole life believing that if you just insisted on something strongly enough, you could make it happen. And those of us who understand the law of attraction actually understand that to a fairly significant degree, that's exactly how it works. But Trump didn't appear to learn the lesson of harnessing those thoughts so that you keep the negative or the lower vibration, lower consciousness energies from coming at you. And that's exactly where that family is right now. They all feel like they are one step away from walking off of a cliff, and they can't really get their head around anything else because they're so completely focused on their own selfish needs and wants, etc. So, going forward, an incredible amount of exposure. You've got powerful people in positions of authority who are coming after him, and by extension coming after, the family, them. Women ultimately are going to be his downfall, okay? Whether it is women that are suing him for assault, whether it is female judges, whether it is district attorneys, whatever it is, there's a lot of female energy around him, and their intention is to expose him. Their intention is to bring it all to the surface. Because they understand that it is important to sort of harness, get a handle on everything that was done wrong so that they can move forward and start putting some corrections in place themselves. I would not be surprised, truly, I would not be surprised if Trump ultimately ended up facing more than 100 different investigations, court cases, charges, court cases. I just see it like an avalanche of documents, an avalanche of paperwork. He's not going to be able to come out of it. And the thing is, the more he tries to do that, I don't have to comply, I don't have to listen to you, I don't need to show up, I don't need to tell you anything, which of course is what went on for 4 years. And the harder he tries to hold on to that behavior and hold on to what assets and money he can get his grubby little paws on, the more heartbroken he's going to become, the more devastated he's going to become, because it's not going to work in his favor. Yeah. So as more and more stuff comes out, and comes out rapidly with a fair degree of speed, you're going to see sort of this kind of juggling effect that's going on almost, I want to say, with the family, a lot of, well, you know, I'm going to blame him, or that's the way it always done, I'm not really responsible, that kind of nonsense. But Donald Trump is going to just continue to be in a place where every move he makes potentially can, you know, stab him. I mean, look at the card, okay? If this figure tries to sit up, tries to distract himself by the pretty window, the fantasies, the reflections, whatever it is, he gets stabbed. It's just as simple as that. Those swords are waiting to stab him, to cut him 1,000 times. Yeah. And let's face it, he's going to be a little bit hamstrung by the fact that he never pays his attorneys. That's going to be a bit of a trick, to have all of this legal stuff going on around him, and he can't get good representation. And I don't believe he's going to be able to get good representation. It's almost getting to a point where I think lawyers are going to have to demand like retainer fees. And he, of course, is not going to want to do that because he believes he's the great and powerful Donald Trump. I also think as they try to start working with him, whatever lawyers get suckered into trying to defend this guy, they are really going to get some real clarity about his mental state and exactly how difficult it's going to be for them to try to harness and contain him. It's just, it doesn't feel like no matter what they try, they're really not going to, he might win a case here or win a case there, but he's going to lose the next 10. So he's just in a tough spot. He really is. And again, right, fortunes have changed. He's now being left out in the cold, and all of these court cases and all of these legal troubles are stacking up behind him. I want to say in the next little while, and I suspect that this pertains mostly to government and things that went on while he was president, but there's going to be a lot more exposure about the trickery, the thievery, the backroom deals. A lot of that is going to start coming out. And like I say, with every one of these exposures, he's going to be diminished and diminished and diminished until there's really nothing left. So there you have it. With all of my heart, I really, really hope that he is found guilty of the charges that he is facing now with the impeachment. But whether he does or doesn't, that's politics, right? That's politics. But the rest of it, The rest of it is flat out legal. It's the legalities, it's court cases, it's all of that stuff. So even if he somehow manages to skip free on the impeachment, trust me, it is not a world of roses that he's going to experience. He's really not. Okay, so it's Friday. Have a good weekend. Get some rest. Take care. Focus on the positive. Stay focused on not only what heals you and those you love, but also perhaps that which will help heal the country. Until next time, take care. Be well. We'll really see you soon. Bye-bye.